Hey guys, MrPokke here. Just wanted to share with you guys a quick video on how to clear Sector 24-36. I actually had to reset this quite a couple of hours to get the exact speed tuning, as well as resetting for the right RNG. For most players, especially the free-to-plays, you're probably going to be coming here anywhere within the next 1 month, so don't even worry about coming for this stage anywhere soon yet, because you should be around the stage where you just finished 18-36, right? The reason why I want to share this video is mostly to take a look at how speed tuning is going to be able to impact a lot of your gameplay, as well as more to showcase how Rosaria, her performance is going to be like in PVE with the new counter-side ship, which will have very good synergy with Welt's Ashura as well as Bunny Charlotte, right? So the CP gap over here is going to be roughly 65,000 plus. So the more you progress through the sector, the more difficult it actually gets for you, because the scaling is just going to get exponentially more and more difficult, right? So without further ado, let's just jump right in and exactly what my strategy is going to be. My leader is going to be for Bunny Charlotte, followed by Emily, Welt's Ashura, as well as Rosaria over here. So one thing over here is that for my speed tuning, I will show you guys all of my builds towards the end of this video, but the order is going to be Emily first, followed by Rosaria, followed by Bunny Charlotte, followed by Welt's Ashura, and you'll see very quickly why that is going to be the required speed tuning in just a little bit, right? So I'm just going to skip through this portion, and that's going to be the chair guy. Just one thing to keep in mind, this chair guy is one of the most annoying bosses you will probably come across. He only usually appears towards the end of a story or within your towers, because he has a built-in speed buff, as well as a debuff that decreases your unit speed. And speed, when it comes to PvE, is everything, especially if you are going to be trying to rely on timing your defense downs, as well as delaying the enemy turns based on your break timing, right? So because this guy's a built-in speed buff, as well as the fact that for 24-36, the two mobs are actually going to be red, which means that if you are going to be using Bell, you won't be dealing enough damage to get rid of both mobs, which would be dealing quite a decent amount of damage, right? So let's just come in over here real quick. So a very important thing to note is that you have to first outspeed the chair guy with Emily. So my Emily right here, without leader, is going to be a 213 speed Emily, which is pretty much just going to be my PvP Emily. And the reason for that is because you want to apply your S3 so that you can get the defense up buff for your entire team, so that you wouldn't take that much damage, right? So our very first shield is going to be going to Rosaria to give it the attack buff, and then we are going to be immediately activating our S3, getting us the AoE damage as well as the defense down. We unfortunately did not crit, but actually it's gonna be fine, because majority of our damage is still gonna be coming mainly from Rosaria, Bunny Charlotte, as well as Welt's Ashura's attacks. So even with Emily over here, I did build her as like a pseudo 68% crit rate Emily. Not critting here is gonna be completely fine for us. So her main role is just to sustain, right? So this very first hit, he's gonna be applying this debuff. So this debuff that's applied to your team, it will reduce your speed, which is gonna be stackable, and you really want to cleanse yourself from this debuff, because he also gave himself a 2-turn speed buff. So this is why Welt's Ashura for this buff is gonna be really strong. And you can also see that Void Usurper for chapter 24-36 is gonna be of the light element, right? Which means Rosaria is actually gonna be performing extremely well, because she is actually gonna be helping us deal toughness bar damage against Void Usurper, as well as applying our defense down, right? And because our Emily is gonna be a moon tank, right, a blue tank, she actually dealt 2 toughness bar damage to the mobs, which means that our very first Nova Burst S3 is able to pretty much just immediately get rid of the 2 different mobs, pushing them all the way back down to 0%, so they wouldn't be able to damage us anymore, right? So gets us this crit, also lands a defense down debuff. If you miss a defense down debuff, you just simply reset, it's gonna be fine. We get our Bunny Charlotte. Unfortunately, you can see over here, we did not get the full 3 stacks because we didn't land the RNG at 80-ish%, but you can see later on, it actually does not matter, even if you fill the RNG, because you are going to be dealing enough damage once you break it. And once again over here, you can see I am missing my crit at roughly 90% crit rate, which is just, it is what it is, but it is going to be okay, right? If it's not going to be okay, then you probably need a little bit more of a gear, as well as level investments, right? And this is also why I made my Welt's Ashura be the very last person to go, because once all 3 of my units went ahead first, then the action very advanced of Welt's Ashura's S3, which is 15%, it is going to gain the maximum amount of value, as you can see from Rosaria, Bunny Charlotte, as well as Emily, right? Alright, so we are gonna be just pretty much going ahead, casting our Rosaria S2, landing the crit for 14,000 into a basic attack for a very nice 23,000 burst. And from over here, even though we did not get our full stacks, which is gonna be 5, we are just gonna slam this down for 20k, because the main concern right now we have is we want to break Void Usurper as fast as possible. This thing needs to break so that we can at least stack on that one additional turn of action value for our defense down debuff, right? So from this point onward, we are just gonna go. Emily is gonna be activating our burst so that we can get ourselves the shield. And then we are gonna be getting that, as well as some toughness bar damage. Wells didn't follow up attack, which is gonna be fine. Okay, so for this particular part over here, if you are gonna be having an Emily that's not as fast as mine, you have to grind for a reset such that he only applies 1 or even 0 stacks of this debuff. Because like I mentioned, this debuff reduces your speed, and you must make sure that Emily is gonna outspeed him before he takes the next action. Otherwise, this defense down debuff is not going to stick anymore, right? So this is gonna be the part where it gets a little bit annoying, but from here it's gonna be okay. So now my Welts Asher are just simply gonna be going for our S2 to do a little bit more toughness, more damage, as well as the speed buff. Rosaria is simply going for our basic attack. The other 2 goons are going to recover from your toughness bar over here, which is going to be okay because my Emily is going to be at a very, very healthy level, right? So from this point on, because I have built my Emily to be 213 speed, we still managed to lap this chair guy. You can see over here, it is only at 93% action value. So if your Emily is too slow, she will not be able to get this ultimate. Okay, I'm going to move my icon away. You can see over here that we actually do get ourselves the S3. So if your Emily is too slow and she cannot cast this on Nova Burst S3, then you cannot break Void Usurper. And if you cannot break Void Usurper, then you cannot get this defense down debuff, which is going to be losing you a lot of damage right here, right? So that is pretty much why you need your Emily to be extremely fast for this fight in particular. So we are going to be activating our burst into the S3 and exactly getting us the break on Void Usurper, pushing him all the way back down, and then we are going to be able to apply our defense down debuff for 1 additional turn. Now, very important here, you do not want to activate your counterside ship skill, because you only use that when he recovers from toughness bar or break, so that you can deal as much toughness bar damage as possible, because all attacks during that state will gain +1 toughness value, which is going to be extremely crucial when I showcase you guys later on, right? So we're just going to simply do all of our basics, right? This is just going to be waiting for him to come back up. Once again, missing our crit on my 98% crit Rosaria, which is just extremely unfortunate. So this extra skill, it will always proc the moment you cross 50%. So it is a little bit of a HP check, but it is not by that much, because ideally for Void Usurper, you never ever let him cast his ultimate. The fight should end before he ever casts this skill, because if he does cast this, then you pretty much just get wiped. So it is a minor HP check, but it is not gonna be that big of a deal. Over here is gonna be the scariest part of the run, where if your Emily dies from the mobs as well as Void Usurper here, it is gonna be over, right? So you really want to make sure that your Emily can actually tank a little bit more. So we are gonna be getting the RNG. Unfortunately for us, he actually went for Wells Ashra, which is basically what made me get a clear over here, right? If you are gonna be getting your Emily targeted too much, then just simply reset for the run itself. So from this point onwards is where you can actually apply our Bunny Charlotte S2 first, extra turn, and then from here you activate your ship skill. Alright, so this will allow all of our attacks to deal +1 toughness bar damage, including our base attack, which is why you can see Bunny Charlotte plus our Welts Ashra is going to be dealing 3 toughness bar damage purely from our basic attack, which is going to help us break him a lot faster, right? So this is going to be the part where I'll activate my Emily's shield into an ultimate. Actually, I don't think I activated my ultimate because I simply went for all in on my basic, if I'm not mistaken. But it is pretty much just to deal as much toughness bar damage. Okay, actually, yeah, I did, because I wanted to... I think I was thinking if I want to break the minions right here. I went for it because I think my Rosaria's ultimate was not available. So we just slam in our ultimate, breaking all of the minions just down to a little bit more. And then from here, Welts Ashra is just gonna simply activate our Nova Flare, Nova Burst, so that we can remove one of the speed debuffs just to be a little bit faster, as well as dealing more toughness bar damage, right? Very important thing to note over here, this is extremely important once again, is that your Rosaria should never ever cast her S2 before the ultimate. I've also mentioned this in my own Rosaria guide previously, where if you're going to be playing Rosaria in PVE, you always save your S2 after S3, so they can get your 3 stacks of the Ashen Lord to get the additional multipliers as well as the extra base attack, right? So you never ever cast your S2 right here, so we are just going to be going for our basic. getting the toughness bar damage as well as Welt's Ashia's follow-up attack. So you can see that because of my counter-side ship skill, we are going to be already bringing him down from all the toughness down to only 4 toughness bar. And luckily for us, he did not hit my Welt's Ashia, which doesn't really matter because at this point, even though he pro my Rosaria's passive, we are definitely going to be able to break him very, very soon because you can see his action value is way too low and we are going to be taking a turn before him with both Welt's Ashia as well as Rosaria. Right, so from here, we're just going to do a little bit more basic attack, and the objective is to pretty much survive the next 2 minions attacks so that you can then bring all the way down to the final phase where we're going to break him and the game will pretty much end from there, right? So he will never ever activate his ultimate at all because if he does, like I mentioned, the run is pretty much going to be over. So Emily is going to come here with a basic attack. Very, very nice. The 2 goons over here, we're just going to take their hits because our Emily is going to be at 25,000 HP with a lot of shield. So it's going to be A-okay. Alright, he's going to hit. Okay, that was a little bit scary, but it's going to be fine. So from here, you want to activate your Welt's Ashia's S3 to cleanse all of the debuffs as well as pushing your Emily up higher so that Emily can deal the final bit of toughness bar damage if needed, right? So from this point, we are then going to be activating our Bunny Charlotte's ultimate, and he's going to be exactly 1 toughness bar remaining, which is when once my Rosaria casts her S3, it will perfectly time the break with Void Usurper, where he's not going to be able to take an action over here. So at this point, we cast our Soul Burn, even though it was unnecessary, but I just wanted to guarantee the 100% crit rate, applies our defense down, and then from here on, you can just activate your ship skill right here because he's never going to recover again, just to deal as much damage as humanly possible. And you can see Rosaria's kit for PvE is going to be very, very nice because of the additional 50% action value advance. You actually manage to get a turn very, very soon before the minions as well as the boss even recovers, right? So from this point out, we are going to get 1 more basic attack with Welt's Ashia, and then Rosaria's S2 is going to easily take out Void Usurper with this 1 final hit, right? So we actually have quite a bit of a leeway, but that is pretty much going to be our 24-36 clear on starsavior, right? Then towards the end, you can take a look at the stats over here. Our Rosaria's damage is gonna be absolutely ridiculous because she does have a very, very high AoE as well as a good amount of burst for your S2 damage. When it comes to PvE clearing content, you really want to take note of your rotations for your cooldowns as well as the speed. Generally speaking, most enemies in this game, they are going to be between 195 to 215 speed. So with that in mind, you really want to make sure your Rosaria is going after the enemy takes a turn because you want to extend the turn of your defense down debuff. If your Rosaria is too fast, she will actually apply the defense down buff before the enemy, which means that when the enemy turn ends, you will have -1 turn on your defense down debuff. So never make your Rosaria go above 194, I would say. So anywhere between 194 to 185 is going to be a very good amount of speed for your Rosaria over here, right? So this is the part where I'll be showcasing my builds. So this is going to be the build that I use for my team right here. So this is going to be my Bunny Charlotte at 183 speed. So I gave her the leader over here. So she's going to be 193. And keep in mind, Bunny Charlotte also has her built-in action value advance from the basic attack. Very important thing to note is I actually do not have the Bunny Charlotte Arcana, or rather the Kira Arcana, to give me the additional 30 speed in battle. So that made my Charlotte considerably slower compared to a lot of your Charlottes. So maybe one day I will get it. But if you do have that speed Arcana, it is going to be a lot better, right? So this is going to be my Rosaria speed exactly at 194, 1 speed below 195. This is absolutely crucial. You do not want to outspeed the enemy, always making sure to go after the boss. And then next is going to be my Emily, which is going to be 212 speed at this current moment. I think I gave her a slightly better build. Can't really remember, but that's going to be our 212 Emily. And then finally, Welt's Ashia at 190 speed, a full 4-piece insight as well as the 2-piece barrier to get as much crit rate as possible to deal as much damage as possible, right? So towards the end, these are going to be my sets. There we go, right? So 4-piece insight with 2-piece barrier. This is going to be 4-piece speed with 2-piece barrier as well. This is insight with Valor as well as insight with Valor, right? So hopefully this video was a little bit helpful. Not specifically how do you clear 24-36, but more so how speed tuning works in starsavior, because it will matter a lot. Doesn't really matter if I'm going to be using my exact team, but I hope that the knowledge today has been a little bit helpful, as well as just showcasing, you know, Rosaria can be really useful even in PvE content, right? So that's pretty much it. All the best for the gacha pools. Use code PVE for 10% off. Give us up, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.